Hello, listeners. Once you're done catching up with everything Intrepid Audio Productions has to offer, check out some other great independent podcast shows like the Knights of the Video Game Table podcast. Jeremy, Patrick, and Frank do great work, and it's worth your time to check them out. They're part of the Nerdgasm Network, where you can find other cool shows, including the Super Budget Brothers, the Nerdgasm Network video game podcast, and all other shows, which can be found at extraplay.info. Give them a listen, because good, honest work can be hard to find.
The best. Or worst food. What I ate. Check it out at the best or worst food, what I ate.blogspot.com.
Sort of break it down like this.
Oh, fantastic. He is one of the biggest meatballs on Twitter.
I'm an idiot.
No, that's okay.
Nice to meet you. I'm Mike.
Could you please take back Tim Tebow?
Oh, awesome.
College football in touch.
I don't understand where these questions are coming from, Tom. That's about it for Manager's Corner. Go yourself and with your show coming up next on the Baltimore Oriole Baseball Network.
I made a note about college sports, and the note just says college sports in general.
Whammy!
Can't do it.
The changes that have happened in the Cub organization are multifold.
Boogie boogie. Great stuff. Welcome back to Chicago Sports Update here on Intrepid Audio Productions. Just to all the listeners, thanks for listening.
Welcome back to Chicago Sports Update here on IAP Podcast. This is Matt, and, a very exciting week in football, I guess you could say. I did not happen to catch really any of it. I saw the Saints' first couple of drives, the one that they were able to move downfield against the 12th man especially, and try a field goal, shanking left, I believe, and, that's pretty much all she wrote. I guess that was really the story of it. The Seahawks just intimidating the Saints as they won. 49ers pull it out again for the third straight year. They will be playing in the NFC title game. And shocker of all shockers, Manning v. Brady, in probably, yes, one of the greatest rivalries in the NFL, especially in the modern era, and kind of ushering this dawn of, well, I shouldn't say dawn of, but the golden era of quarterbacks, which I firmly believe we are in, as we're seeing some of the best quarterbacking play that has ever been able to grace the game, and certainly the game's evolution has helped that. But this is the golden age of great quarterbacks. You can keep your Montanas, your Namaths, and, well, I shouldn't say Aikman, because he was, I don't know, maybe more modern than what we give him credit for. I'm not really going to even put Favre in the conversation. He almost has that sort of Jamie Moyer-esque tendency of just being around for a very, very long time, and not really having a whole lot to show for it throughout his entire career. As in the AFC, yes, Manning will be playing to try to get to his third Super Bowl and eventually win his second, if possible, while the Patriots just continue their other dominance and try to extend that just incredible dynastic team that they have under Belichick and Brady. So, well, Harbaugh is starting to try to cement his legacy as being a newfound, I don't know, the new person out of the AFC West, and the college guys, I guess, kind of coming up and teaching the pros how it's done, as it were. So as they kind of face off again, and, it'll be certainly interesting. I have really no love for either NFC team, and, as a Bears fan, all I can do is see how far away the Bears really are from competing at a high playoff level. I can't lie to myself and say that the 8-8 team, had they won against Green Bay, or heck, even won against the Eagles in Week 16, having a chance against either of these teams, it would have certainly been ugly. So, to say the least, it would have been ugly. But who knows? And I'm not going to play that game. So, in Bears news, though, a lot of speculation on whether the Bears were going to terminate the employment of Mel Tucker, their defensive coordinator. No, they got rid of a couple of his stooges, a couple of his underlings, especially the linebackers coach, who, heck, I didn't even know, as well as the defensive line coach, who, well, we don't have any idea who that was, considering the last person to hold that job was really Rob Marinelli of any substantial value, excuse me. So I can't really put anything to that. It's a very difficult position for Mel Tucker, simply because he was put in and really kind of became a no-win situation, because while injuries were to blame, for a lot of it, you can't blame it, and I shouldn't say that injuries were to blame, because, well, the next man up mentality, is that's just the NFL culture. That's just what you have to do in order to compete, and frankly, the talent that they had wasn't sufficient. And when you have such a regression from such great talent, as well as an inability to advance or grow within the system, when you're using pretty much an identical system to what you had the last couple of years, honestly, to me, there's no excuse. Fine, some of the new talent should be able to get it and learn it and understand it, because it's a very simple defense to understand. It just wasn't the case. Just didn't happen. So that's exactly what happened, and, well, look at the Bears now. They're 8-8. Their defense was atrocious, a joke, embarrassing overall, and I think depending on how things go in the 2014 season, that will truly be the test for Mel Tucker. His seat is certainly hot, but they're not a retributive team. They're not doing it just to satiate the angry sharks of fans and the frenzied mob that is the fan base, because, well, it didn't really work for Lovie as far as on the offensive side, so what's to think that it will work on the defense? I don't think Wade Phillips could get any more talent out of what he had, or what he could have walked into. I certainly don't think Romeo Crennel could do the same thing either. So it's a very difficult situation, and it comes down to drafting, developing talent, and letting the talent actually be able to develop, I guess is the best way to do it. Can they actually develop? So we'll see what happens coming up. It'll certainly be a very interesting draft, which is what we are all going to be very focused on here coming up. Well, in April, I believe that's when that happens. So that'll be fun and interesting and the sort. So switching gears, the Blackhawks kind of starting maybe to turn around a little bit. Stumbled the last couple of games. It had a very good win finally, again at home against the hapless Oiler team. So losing in overtime to the Rangers, as well as they just flat out lost against the Rangers, in regulation. As well as losing in overtime to the Canadiens. I'm not really ready to say that they can't beat the East because, well, I don't know. It's just I don't know. Crawford is returning in a past couple of games, so he's coming back from his injury. Certainly looking rusty, to say the least, but what's very difficult for me to watch and stomach are soft goals, and every single goal that the Rangers scored last week was soft. I just didn't like it. The Canadiens certainly aren't some sort of world beater team as far as I'm concerned, certainly not really living up to the competition in the West and what the Blackhawks have to see on a much more frequent basis, but Ranta, good thing to kind of stop the bleeding and just stop that loss from happening. It was a very frustrating game. Our Blackhawk players scoring on their own goal. Stupid is just the best way to put it. There's no other way around it. And I don't like the fact that the Hawks like to be too nitpicky with their shots. Seemingly, they're too selective, and they only want to take shots that they're going to score. That's not their game. That's not how they succeed. They succeed by putting the puck on net. That's how I've seen this team succeed. That's what they did to Detroit last year in the playoffs. It's what they did to the Kings, and frankly, that's kind of what they did to Boston. So, and honestly, that's kind of what they've done. Well, that's what they did all last year, and that's what they've done to have some tremendous success this year, and that's what they need to do going forward. So, to me, there's no way around it. They have to put the puck on net and just shoot. Good things happen. Barry Rossner of the Daily Herald, much better hockey person than I am as far as seeing and understanding the game. Like he said on the radio several times, Twitter, those sorts of things. Put the puck on net, good things happen. Shoot the puck, and good things happen. You don't have to shoot into traffic. That's fine. Maybe you get a deflection. Maybe there's a rebound for a nice, soft goal. That's fine. That's what you need to have happen. But the puck has to get there first, and they have to be able to shoot it. The Hawks are a tremendous team. They are a tremendous shooting team as far as scoring and the like. They have some of the top point getters in the NHL between Jonathan Toews, Patrick Sharp, Patrick Kane. These guys are good. They're certainly capable to score goals. They've shown that to be so. Just do it. Go out and do it. I don't care. Stop making too cute passes. Just shoot the puck, and good things will happen. I can't say that enough, and yes, I'm paraphrasing and stealing that from the greater hockey mind, although others would argue about his mind. Barry Rosner. Truly love his commentary and everything. So that really takes care of the Blackhawks. I guess I talked about the rounding up of the Olympic teams as far as what Blackhawks are representing and the sort. Let's see. Moving on. Yes, Frank Thomas and Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine each were elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame last week. I could breathe a very great sigh of relief come noon Central Standard last Wednesday. I was very nervous because, unfortunately, people can be very stupid when it comes to ballots and the voting process. And that's just voting in general, no matter what it's for. So, okay, fine. Stupid's a subjective term. Editorializing, fine, I'll own that. But when it comes to baseball, it's worse. You had individuals that gave up their ballot for crowdsourcing. Dan Le Batard, who ended up not only being suspended for a year, but has lost all of his voting rights for life for the Baseball Hall of Fame. And I don't blame him. I genuinely don't. This was embarrassing for Major League Baseball, for the Baseball Writers Association, and for the Hall of Fame. They really kind of just there's no better way of saying it. They just pulled their pants down, mooned everybody for those that really wanted to be, just kind of be, I don't know, stupid is the best way to put it, for not voting for Frank Thomas, Tom Glavine, and Greg Maddux. None of those individuals were unanimously elected. Considering who they played for, and the era they played for, and what they were able to accomplish, that's a farce. That's an honest farce, especially when you have one of the most outspoken individuals for the steroid era. Somebody who immediately came out and said, I've never used steroids. I will never use steroids. That's not who I am. I play the game in a clean manner. I take a tremendous amount of pride in doing so. I'm very glad that he was rewarded, and I'm very glad in the fact that the stigma of the DH can now be lifted, although I'm glad it's lifted for him, and he was the one to break that barrier, because as far as I'm concerned, Edgar Martinez has no business in it. Doesn't even come close to what Frank Thomas was ever able to accomplish. So that's just my baseball opinion as far as that. Yes, slanted being a White Sox fan, but with Thomas not ending up playing his entire career and always having a very antagonistic relationship with fan base, Chicago media, fine. I take it more so for the fan base side of things, but I get it. I understand some of the aspects and the business sides of baseball and what needs to get done, and I was even at the first game that Frank Thomas was back as Oakland A. I was at the game. He hit 2 home runs, and yet the Oakland A's still lost the game. So, be that as it may, Frank Thomas just a tremendous hitter. If it wasn't for the steroid era, and if it wasn't for roid rager Jeremy Giambi, Frank Thomas would have won a third AL MVP, which to me is a joke as far as that is Giambi getting that award. It was just downright pathetic. Highway robbery, insane and stupid. I could go off on that forever. So we're very happy here in Chicago. Frank Thomas will enter the Hall as a member of the Chicago White Sox, so we're very happy about that. Just White Sox fans and the city in general is that. Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine both will be going into the Hall of Fame as members of the Atlanta Braves. Because that's where Glavine had, I'd say, a tremendous amount of his success, and that's where Greg Maddux had, I would say, all of his success, especially with the highlights of the World Series and just being the pitcher that he was with that team, being that pitcher through his prime. So, and that's not to say Cubs suck, but it's unfortunate some of the directions that Cubs management took in not keeping Maddux around. But honestly, I almost say that because he was able to go and be a free agent and sign with the Braves, he was able to win and succeed and get those accolades. I don't know if he would be a 300-win pitcher if he was with the Cubs, simply because the offense just really wasn't there. They had some really bad teams at that time. Yes, then they ended up having some good power teams coming out, but they didn't have great teams at that point in that time. I haven't gone back and looked at the score as far as maybe Maddox would have made the difference in a couple of games here, but I certainly don't think he would have had the career had he stayed with the Cubs for his entire career. And I guess the best way to look at that and compare that would be pitchers like specifically Mark Buehrle. If Mark Buehrle pitched for any other team except the Chicago White Sox, he would have easily, I would have to ballpark 30 more wins and 30 less losses. So you take those 30 off his loss column, put those in his win column, and you're dealing with another potential Hall of Famer. The White Sox did not do him any favors as far as being able to put a really consistently good offensive team out there for a tremendous amount of his career with the White Sox. I'm not saying Mark Buehrle will be a Hall of Famer or should be even considered such, but he certainly should be he certainly is in the conversation for one of the greatest White Sox pitchers that have ever played for the team. White Sox have had some good pitchers, but as far as for ones that have had a tremendous amount of their career with the White Sox, Mark Buehrle certainly falls close to top of the ranks. I haven't looked at the rankings as far as his records with the team, but certainly is up there. Certainly a no-hitter in a perfect game, a World Series save, is a tremendous postseason is up there for him. So I got to say, it's he's the closest pitcher that I could have ever seen that closely mirrors the potential career of Greg Maddux. I don't know. That's all just conjecture, too, so take that for what it's worth. But moving north to Wrigley, out of Cubs offices today, they happen to announce, they are joining the club as far as teams with mascots. Yes, that's right. The Cubs have another mascot. No, you do not have to think of urine-soaked Ronnie Woo-Woo, who happens, I don't know why, he just ends up wandering around an area where I work, which is, kind of fits him, I guess is the best way to put it. But either way, they announced Clark the Cubby Bear, and if he's not too busy watching his favorite movie, Rookie of the Year, he will be trying to help bring a World Series to the Cubs. Well, good luck. I would say focus on a little bit more of moving out of Wrigley and trying to either that or put resources into developing Wrigley. I know that they're trying to do so, but it's just awkward and weird. The press release of such just didn't really, I don't know. The announcement came off a little peculiar. Certainly the pictures of the caricature of the artist renderings that are out there make it unsettling, I guess is the best way to put it. And that's not to say that furry culture has destroyed all mascots, but it's just peculiar. The whole thing kind of has this air of peculiarity in it, and I don't want to say unsettling, but it's not, to me, and I'm trying not to sound just like some blatant Cubs hater, but there doesn't seem to be much charm, and that's something that the Cubs, I don't want to say sorely need, but they focused all their charm on their stupid ballpark. I don't think Brandon or Mike would get too mad in saying that I'm calling it stupid, because that's just how they do. That's what Ricketts, and one of his points of pride is Wrigley, and it's kind of like, okay, put your charm into that, okay, but it's just unsettling. It's kind of odd, awkward, cheesy, stupid. Mascots, yes, they're stupid, but I like fun stupid. Southpaw is completely fun stupid. If you don't know who Southpaw is, he's the green kind of lizard mascot for the Chicago White Sox. But he's got this, I don't know, stupid, fun, charming kind of attribute, and he is a great watch, especially when White Sox baseball is really pretty much unwatchable. To see him come by for a half inning or an inning or so and sit with sit in the scout seats behind home plate and just have fun with the visitors. It's kind of fun to see, and just completely harmless. It just makes you smile. I don't know. We have yet to see what Clark will look like. It's just odd, I guess, is the best way to put it. it seems forced, I guess, because every other team in Chicago has a mascot. There's Benny the Bull, Tommy Hawk, Southpaw, Staley the Bear for the Chicago Bears. So we'll see what, they're just last to join in. I don't know what it will look like, but certainly Deadspin has already started a Photoshop contest to unsettle and make the most, inappropriate photos, create the most inappropriate photos with Clark the Cub on with the image and everything and all the kind of weird poses that the Cubs have already released. It's just kind of odd. I'd almost really would prefer had they announced it during like their Cubs convention or something, when it's kind of like they have a reason to announce something like that for the fans. But it's neither here nor there. It's just really, really peculiar. And I hear Clark, all I think of is Clark Griswold, just this tool. Chevy Chase, just a tremendous tool bag. And, being kind of in that whole stupid Chicago stuff. It's just kind of, I don't know, not me. It's not me. It's not Mike. It's not Brandon. It's if a kid likes it, okay, but it's kind of like, it's just kind of, I don't know, stupid, I guess is the best way to put it. And that's not to say that Southpaw's a genius or anything. He's just stupid. It's for kids. I get it. I get that. But maybe I'm blinded by, Sox fandom. So next time, Brandon or Mike will have some thoughts on Clark, although I'm sure they're pretty, I'd like to think that they'll be pretty similar. So we'll see about that. And when that happens, the Bulls, they don't get it. I don't know what the heck the Bulls are, what's wrong with them. Noah, get off the team. Front office, John Paxson, trade him. You don't need that. You do not need wins. And the fact that they've won now 5 straight since trading Dang, that's no good. That's not what you want to do. You want to lose games and get closer to the bottom of the pack, get out of the playoffs so you can get closer to more ping pong balls, more likely chance to get into the top picks of the NBA draft where all the talent is laid. So we'll see what happens there. I don't know. I think it's sheerly stupid because I have no interest in what they're doing. I'm glad that they finally decided to wise up and trade Dang away. They got whatever they could for him. I would love for them to be able to do that for Noah, for Heinrich, for Dunleavy. Just get them out. Lose this team. Put a D-League team out there because, well, the East is just full of D-League teams. So a race to the bottom, that's what's important. So that really does it here for this past week here in Chicago sports. Thank you very much for listening. You can follow me on Twitter, Matt_F_Kane, like the hockey player. You can follow the podcast at IAP Podcasts, all one word. If you follow me, you'll be able to find Brandon and Mike. I retweet them often. You can find them in my follows and followers. And, thanks for listening, and we will talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening to Chicago Sports Update here on Intrepid Audio Productions. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter by searching IAP Podcasts, all one word. We make it easy to listen to us at home or on the go because you can subscribe to us via iTunes or on your browser at Spreaker.com. Listen to us on the go with the Stitcher Radio app, available for all smartphones. Want to interact with the team directly? Leave any questions, comments, or feedback you may have at our Facebook page. You can also like our page to know about special events, shows topics, and listen directly on our page to new and past episodes. Feel free to email us anytime at iappodcasts@gmail.com. IAP Podcasts, pioneering the best in independent podcasting.